Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Ayomide. Just in case you're new here, on this channel I post sewing tutorials, simple step-by-step sewing tutorials that you can easily follow to make your own garment for yourself. In this tutorial today, I'll be sharing how I made this wrap dress. I love the dress so much, so I'm going to be sharing the sewing process of how I made this. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, kindly click on the subscribe button below, turn on your notifications so you can become notified, and let us jump straight into this tutorial. To get started, I would be using this crepe fabric. I have about 2.5 yards here, but let me say that for a wrap dress you'll be needing nothing less than 3 yards if you don't want to be managing fabric. Also, I've got my pattern here. I just have a basic bodice pattern that would help cutting my bodice very easy. I've got some other tools here that would make my work easy. First thing I would do is place my fabric on fold, place my pattern on the folded edge, pin it down and cut. What I'm cutting right here is the back. There is no zip at the back. Remember, this is a wrap dress. Also, my pattern has the side seam allowance, so this pattern is ready to go. In order to eliminate any bulge that might want to occur at the back of this dress, I will be marking 0.7 inch away from the center back and connect it to the side back and take that part out. So this is what my back pattern looks like after cutting. Next thing to do would be to cut the front. To cut the front, I have placed my fabric on fold into 2. I have also placed my pattern and marked 4 inches away from the center front. This is how much of the overlap that I want. After then, I would rule a slanted line from the neckline that would end on the 4-inch mark that I placed on my fabric, and this is how I created my wrap. So what I will do next is to cut this out. Because this is a wrap dress and I don't want any gaping along the neckline, I would mark 1/2 inch downward from the neckline area and connect it to where my armhole starts. So I'm going to be trimming that out, and this would help prevent any gaping that may want to occur along the neckline. This is how the front looks like when it is overlapped, matching the center front together. This is how it's going to be. So now let us work on the skirt part. For the skirt part, I'm going to be working with an A-line skirt. You can use a flare skirt, but I'm going to be working with an A-line skirt, and I have a miniature pattern right here. The length of the pattern is 12 inches, and I'll be using this pattern to help cut the skirt part. So this is not the exact length I'm working on. To cut the skirt, I will fold my fabric into 2, and I will place it slightly on the bias grain just to have a little bit of stretch, as you can see. So just slightly on the bias grain. I'll place my pattern on it, pin it down. Then I would mark the skirt length. The skirt length I'm working with is about 22.5 inches. Now the length depends on the overall length of your gown. I'll connect those lengths together, and I'll grab my long ruler and create my side, the side part of the skirt. So I'm ruling a line from the side of the skirt that would join the length of the skirt. The wideness of this skirt will depend on how wide you want your dress to be. I'll mark 1 inch upward and then create a curve along the hem. After that, I'll cut this out. So this skirt I'm cutting is the back. It's the back skirt I'm cutting. To cut the front skirt, I will be placing my fabric on fold and also slightly on the bias grain. I would also mark 4 inches away from the center just to have the wrap, just like I did for the bodice. I'll pin it down securely, and once that is all done, I would cut this out. I would split the front pattern into two, detach the back from the front, and work on the shape of the wrap on the front. So what I'll do first is mark out my 4 inches. Another thing you can do is to notch before removing your back pattern. Next, I will determine where I want the wrap to start from. I'm going for a length of about 18 inches. Now yours can be higher depending on what you want, so I'll just mark 18 inches right there, and I would use my hand to create a curve from that 18 inches all the way to the hem. After that is done, I will then cut it out. Now this is how my front would be. I'm just going over to notch the center front. So if I place it together on the overlap, this is how the front is going to look like. It is now time to begin sewing. The first thing I will do is to sew in all of the dart allowance that I added. This is the back I'm pinning down. I would sew in the darts I placed on the back and also sew in the darts that I placed on the front. For the skirt, I didn't place any darts. This was intentional. I don't want any darts on the skirt part. I'm done sewing in my darts. This is the back. I've also used a matching bias tape to finish off the rough neckline. I did likewise for the front too. I've also finished off the neckline of the front and also sew in the darts for the front. The next thing would be to join both the bodice and the skirts together. To do that, I'll be placing the skirt part of the back on the back bodice. I would also place the front part of the skirt, the one that matches with each side of the bodice, and place it on each other and leave about half an inch on the center front area. This would help join the gathers that I want to attach to create the ruffles along the wrap area. I am done sewing. This is my back. This is how it looks like. And this right here is one part of the front. This is what it looks like, and this is the other part of the front. What I will do next is to join both the front and the back together. I will be placing right sides against each other, measure out my sewing allowance, which was 1 inch. That was what I added. So I'll just sew it down along the shoulder and also sew it down along the sides. I am done with that process, and this is what my dress looks like so far. It is already taking shape, as you can see. So now it is now time to work on the ruffles. For the ruffles, I've gone ahead to cut out this extremely long fabric. I think it's about 160 inches long. I just cut and joined quite a lot of fabric. So I've gone ahead to hem one end of the fabric because I'm going to be creating gathers. So I would hem one end, and on the other end I sew in a basting stitch, which I will be pulling to create gathers. Now if you have a gathering foot or a more easier way to create gathers, you can do that, but if you don't have, that means you have to do your gathers manually like I did mine. So I'm just pulling the thread to create gathers, and once I'm done, I'll show us how I attach this to the dress. I am done pulling my thread, and this is what my gathered fabric looks like. The next thing would be to join this on my dress. I've got my dress right here, and I'm just setting it up in the way I would want it to be. So I want the right to overlap over the left. I would mark the points where they intersect and mark 4 inches upward from that point where they intersect. After marking 4 inches upward, I'll be sewing my gathers from that 4 inches all around to the other wrap. So on one end, my wrap will not start from the waist. That's on the part that will be on the inside. My wrap will not start from the waist. It will just start slightly above where they intersect. Right on the other end, to end on the waist. and this is because I don't want any bulk of fabric on the inside. So I'll just go ahead and sew this down, and this is what it looks like after sewing. So on this end that'll be on the inside, I've gone ahead to sew down the extra fabric just to make that place neat, and on this other end this would overlap this way. So this part ended on the waist, and you wouldn't even know that the other part did not end on the waist. So this is what my dress is looking like so far. The next thing I will do is to fix the sleeve. For the sleeve, I'm working on a simple basic sleeve because this was what was left of my fabric. I had just 2.5 yards of fabric and I could only do this simple basic sleeve. So I'll attach this down to my dress, and this is what it looks like. So guys, this is how far my dress is coming along, and I'm almost done. The next thing I will do is to fix the rope to this dress that would enable wearing this dress very easy. So I've got 2 ropes here, 2 strips of fabric I'll be using for the belt. One is slightly longer than the other one. So for the one that is slightly longer, I'll be placing it on the part of the dress that will be on the inside. I'll just attach it to the waist area. I will secure it down with a pin. I would also attach the belt to the other wrap side, pin it down, and proceed to my sewing machine to stitch this down. So once I stitch this down, this part that will be on the inside, I created a hole, a space by the side seam. That part will go through to the side seam, and this other part that would overlap would meet it at the back where it will be knotted, or on the side as the case may be. So guys, I'm done, and this is what the dress looks like. I love the outcome of the dress. It looks so beautiful, and on the wrap area you wouldn't even notice that one end did not get to the waist. That's because it is sufficiently covered. So if you found this tutorial helpful, kindly give it a huge thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click on the subscribe button below, turn on your notifications, and I would see you guys in my next tutorial. Goodbye.